Hey y'all, I'm back with another Legacy video, and in this video I'm going to be playing Dimir Tempo again. And this list comes from tomjab, the MTGO user, and there's some trophies for this list. The interesting card in here is a new removal spell, or somewhat new removal spell from Bloomburrow, Feed the Cycle. I've been seeing this in a few lists, and this particular 75 has one in the main deck, one in the sideboard. It's pretty cool because it can hit any creature or planeswalker for 2 mana. The foraging, where you can exile 3 cards, is an interesting mechanic for this deck. If you have a Murktide in play, you can grow your Murktide. However, a lot of times it can get you farther away from a Murktide or reduce the size of your Nethergoyf or Barrowgoyf. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the course of this league. Some other things compared to lists I've played recently, there's 1 Brazen Borrower in the main, 1 in the side, and then 3 copies of Barrowgoyf. Barrowgoyf, yeah, is such a strong card. I even wonder if it'd be possible to fit one into the main board, but you know, it's just a good card to have in quantities, and I do think it would be nice to have another threat, and especially one that gains life with all of the Is It Tempo. I've definitely been in a bit of a slump. If you saw my last video, I went 1-4, and I played this exact list a little bit earlier to another 1-4. So the losses have been abundant lately, and it doesn't feel good, but I'm hoping to shake that off in the course of this video, and let's see how the league goes. All right, I'm on the draw against an opponent who has revealed Giganta, so that's definitely an interesting one there, and kept 7. I've seen lots of decks that play this card, but I don't really have a good sense of what this could be. I've seen like Elves, maybe even Nick Fit. Let's just see. This hand is a little weak, but I think with the days in Kaito and Wasteland, it's got enough going on. Skittering Kitten. Discard a card, sacrifice this creature, draw a card. Totally fine. I'll probably just Wasteland here. Now, having drawn Nethergoyf, I actually like Underground Sea Nethergoyf. I know that by playing out the sea, it can't block this turn, but this thing's just getting in for 1. And this way I'm holding up days, so if they are, like if they have something like an Amped Raptor or something like that. What does Giganta say? No card in your starting deck has more than 1 of the same mana symbol. So that just means that there's no like black or something like that. So I'll let them get in for 1. Voice of Victory is a great card to daze. So this looks like daze here, and then probably Wasteland, and then I get to bash with the Goyf for a bit of damage. My opponent and I have traded cat puns in the chat. So I assume Skittering Kitten is some sort of, okay, another Voice of Victory. Some sort of reference or some spider card in the real world. But of course, MTGO. Okay, I like Tamiyo. I was going to play the Undercity Sewers, but now I like Underground Sea Tamiyo. And I'm actually going to hold back the Nethergoyf. If they're going to... First of all, it's 2 power into a 3 toughness creature. So I think it makes sense to just hold it back. They're liable to cycle this thing now. But I'm really hoping to get the Kaito down. And then in blocks, if they do attack with the Voice of Victory, I can just block the 2 tokens. If you don't know this land here, Lazotep Quarry, there's the text for it. Caracas is really good for them, unfortunately. They're letting me go to blocks, so I can block here and block here. And hopefully they don't have something like a Goblin Bombardment or something that can be a blowout. I would really like to get this Voice of Victory off the table. Okay, they do have Amped Raptor. And they get a Goblin Bombardment. Oh my god. This is going to be so bad. Yep. Okay. Really need to clear this voice right away. Petty Theft is not the worst card imaginable, but not great. Yeah, I like Feed the Cycle. I'll get to kill the voice. Sand Scout. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library. Okay, and they get 1/1s when their lands go to the graveyard. Well, I think my opponent has successfully gone wide around me. Only one more card in hand. But they get to Goblin Bombardment for a whole bunch every turn. I do think I have to take next turn to Feed the Cycle. So I think what I'm going to do is Undercity Sewers first. Brainstorm is good. And then Feed the Cycle here. Leaving the Nethergoyf in the graveyard, though very doubtful I'll be able to escape the Nethergoyf. But I'm still getting hit for... Yeah, and they get to do that in response. I'm still getting hit for 4, possibly 5 next turn. Actually, they just have the game. Because they're going to get to make a 1/1 and then swing for lethal with Goblin Bombardment. Brutal. Alright, I think Barrowgoyf is going to be one of the best cards in this. And Hydroblast. And then the extra Feed the Cycle. Don't think I really want Force of Will. And I'll trim a couple Dazes. Alright, this looks like a nice hand to start the game. Interesting decision about whether to run the Tamiyo out, but I think the answer is just yes. However, if I get to flip the Tamiyo, all these X1s, or rather 1Xs, are going to have a tough time. I think my hand is good enough that if the Tamiyo plan doesn't work out, I'll be alright. So I'm going to play the Tamiyo out off a basic island, fetching Flooded Strand. And the reason to fetch the Flooded Strand is that Polluted Delta gets both the basics, Flooded Strand only gets basic island. I think it's pretty likely this thing gets removed, but maybe they care enough to play around Daze. Alright, Pyroblast, sure. Well, that starts adding cards to the Feed the Cycle. Cast Brainstorm. I think I can put back some lands. I don't know if my opponent is a Wasteland deck, but I'll keep the Wasteland around just in case. Or rather, just in case I can waste them off a important color. Sand Scout. Sure. I don't know if this is worth a Fatal Push. I kind of think it's not. But I am choosing to believe that Sand Scout means they are a Wasteland deck. Another Wasteland, not very good. I'm going to really hope to find a fetch land here. No fetch land, but Kaito is nice. So I'll put back the Wastelands. I'll put back Wasteland and Kaito. I'll play the Underground Sea, and I'll play another Tamiyo. Next turn I can flip the Tamiyo, or I can get Kaito online. And if they remove Tamiyo, I can still, provided they don't also Wasteland me, cast Kaito. Another Sand Scout. Yeah, that's fine. So they get to search for a land this time. And no attacks. I don't know if I need to Wasteland the Lazotep Quarry. I kind of like playing out Wasteland, attacking with Tamiyo, getting in Kaito. Now I will have to protect this Kaito. So like in response to a fetch, I'll have to kill one of those guys. So I'll just plus the Kaito and then see what happens here. Oh yeah, so it's actually... I was thinking it was going to be when I got the card, but I'll just go ahead and kill one of these. Kind of annoying that I didn't do it before. But provided that I can survive this turn with the Kaito, then next turn I can flip Tamiyo plus Tamiyo, and then Kaito is pretty well protected. So Kaito drops to 1 loyalty. Amped Raptor, sure. Into a Goblin Bombardment again. Voice of Victory. My goodness. Alright, that's pretty good. And now Giganta is in hand, but they are tapped out. And Gigantha costs 5 mana. So I can keep them off of that. I'm going to start off this turn with a Ponder. And I'll shuffle. I'll attack with the Kaito. Okay, kind of nice to see them block. So I could play Tamiyo, kill Voice of Victory. Or I could just kill Voice of Victory, wasteland them, and then have Daze for Gigantha. Kaito will die. Yeah, I think I have to play it a little safe here. So I'm going to forage, feed the cycle on Voice of Victory, get rid of the lands and the Tamiyo, I guess. Wasteland this Quarry. They do get another 1/1 out of it. And then that Wasteland, I'm just going to hold back. All right, Kaito is down. Oh my god, my opponent has another Voice of Victory. That card is so annoying. Huh. Alright, well, I'll start with drawing a card. So they're going to get Gigantha. I guess I just have to wasteland them and hope that that keeps them off of Gigantha. And then I can play Nethergoyf and Tamiyo and hopefully get some clues. This feels really bad. Alright, my opponent had the swords, Ocelot Pride. They've just gone so wide. Like, if I can flip Tamiyo next turn, there's maybe a remote chance that I could pull this off. And I kind of skipped through. I should be on 10 life. Barrowgoyf is not the worst either. I think it's worth playing Barrowgoyf because then next turn I can flip Tamiyo for sure. And their one card is Gigantha. Johnny is good. They can't flip it though right away. Thankfully they don't have that Quarry. So attacking only with this into the Barrowgoyf. Am I missing something? Oh, yeah, the Ajani. So that's fine. Following this turn, they won't be able to gain the life, though. Push is really good. I'm going to take this turn to flip Tamiyo, though. And there's a good chance I just draw a land anyway, and then I can push Ajani. Okay, another Goyf. All right, so next turn they can attack meaningfully only with this 2/1. But I do have to let them have that. It really would have been nice to get a land there. Attacking with everything. What could they have drawn? All right. This is an important thing to notice is that the Mobilize 2 gets around Tamiyo. So by sending everything at Tamiyo, I get a free block, I guess, on Voice of Victory. Is there any way for it to survive? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Tamiyo is going to die, so I can at least get rid of this Voice of Victory. And then I can still push the Ajani. Okay, somehow their attacks meant that Tamiyo survived somehow. Not sure about that one. Kaito is also really good, but that's for a later time. I'm going to push Ajani. Actually, I should start off with the Thoughtseize. And that way, if they have something like a bolt to kill Ajani, I can get rid of that. Swords, Barrowgoyf. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Gigantha has been taken care of. Interesting decision here, actually. They are going to get to kill Tamiyo if I kill Ajani. I could also play the Barrowgoyf. And then they couldn't kill Tamiyo because Sand Scout could be blocked. So they would have to top deck something crazy like Goblin Bombardment, but I'm not really prepared to handle that anyway. So I'm going to invest my mana in the Barrowgoyf this turn. That'll keep Tamiyo alive, which can keep plussing and keep this army at bay. And then I have the push for next turn. Amped Raptor, really good. Into a Sand Scout. I can manage that. That's all right. So as predicted, they're sending everything at Tamiyo. I block the Sand Scout. Then next turn I can push the Ajani, and then I can block these other cats, plus Tamiyo, push a Johnny, play Nethergoyf. I'm still living in fear of a top deck, what do you call it? Top deck Goblin Bombardment. Okay, Ghost Vacuum, that can slowly eat away at my graveyard. They can also get their stuff back. Okay, so they're starting with Kaito to shrink my Goyf. But now I get to progress towards the Tamiyo ultimate. I get to play Kaito. I'll start with the Ponder. I don't need to play Kaito this turn. I really want to force a will more than anything else. I think that's a shuffle. Feed the Cycle is nice. And the way that I feel like I'm actually going to win this game is with a Murktide after the Tamiyo ultimates. And they have 11 creatures on board for the possible bombardment, which is their definite best draw. And even with that, I think they would have to spend a lot of that on like the Tamiyo. Yeah, that's good. Probably not good enough. So I think I will pay the extra mana and kill the Sand Scout. I think that's the best creature remaining. I'll block the cat because cats are better. I know this thing has first strike, but I think it's just fine. And then next turn with the Tamiyo, they can only get to the one attacker. So I'll cast the Kaito. I'll surveil. Don't want Wasteland or Thoughtseize. I don't get to draw a card, but I'll play out the land and I'll pass. All right, so now they're starting to think about, okay, they have the land. So actually now Wasteland would have been pretty good. But they're only going to get the Ajani. And they don't really have any attacks, so I'm not really forced to do anything about Ajani if they have it. And this is the turn that it really matters. I think I am supposed to attack with Kaito, actually. I'll start with the Ponder. Wasteland is good into a push. I think that's perfectly fine. I'll attack with Kaito. Probably just, blocking with a single 1/1. I'll Wasteland them, hit Plateau. That's the most expensive real-life card, so my default to take there. I'm going to tap Amped Raptor in case they have a Swords or something for Nethergoyf. Plus the Tamiyo, and then pass. Okay, Guide of Souls, just a little late. I should have this game. My opponent might make me play it out because we have spent a lot of time in this match already. I think I have one Petty Theft in the deck that could get that Ghost Vacuum off the table. Now, they will get to attack with all of this stuff next turn, but I think it's just worth it to draw half my library. Okay. So I like going Murktide right away. Just let them know I do have the Murktide. I should see if I have both, because if I have both, no, I don't have both. So I'll make this one as big as possible. I can Petty Theft this, and then I think I like that. I have Petty Theft, and then I have the Bombardment. I'm gonna plus here. I guess there's not really a reason to attack. I'll play a land if I haven't. And then I'll Petty Theft this. I'll play another Tamiyo, and then I'll pass. Guide of Souls is good. Maybe I could have pushed this actually in response. And the Ghost Vacuum is also fine. I think I should probably actually push the Ocelot Pride. All right, so I will clear all this stuff. And then before the end step, push the Ocelot Pride. And then, okay, they scoop it up. Yeah, I think maybe that was their plan to stabilize a little bit. But once the Murktide hit the table, I think it was going to be good. Next turn I had the Bowmasters and could spray down more of their creatures, Fatal Push, lots of things I could have done from here. I didn't think I was going to win that game. All right, on the draw, I'm tempted to switch the forces for the dazes. I think it's likely they'll play around daze. I don't know if I need the other Brazen Borrower. I think one was a perfect amount. Yeah, I'll try this. All right, this hand is pretty good. I'll keep. And I like probably just starting with Underground Sea Nethergoyf. I don't think I can play Afraid of Wasteland with the lands that I have been dealt here. And then I just have to hope they respect days and don't swords here. Okay. They fetch a duel and puts a card on top. Okay. All right, Amped Raptor is really good. What do they hit? Static Prison. Yeah, that's really nice. I don't know if I should Wasteland them. I think I'll probably give them a turn. I like Tamiyo. Don't really like Thoughtseize, but the Thoughtseize could clear the way for a Tamiyo. Getting some nice lag here. I also could possibly, if they're able to keep this around, Petty Theft it at an important moment. Double Murktide is kind of awkward here, especially given that they can Wasteland me off of the second blue source. Another Amped Raptor, my goodness. Into a Guide of Souls. Yep, really good. I think this turn, while I have all my lands, I just have to Barrowgoyf. Hope they don't have the swords. Johnny's really good. Oh my god, the second Ajani. This is so bad. So they get to kill my Barrowgoyf. They have just a billion cats. I could Petty Theft that thing. I can't make a very big Murktide. I could Petty Theft and then Thoughtseize. And then I don't get to cast any more spells the rest of the game because they're going to double Wasteland me. I think this game is just over. They have lethal on board. Yeah, good game. And I'm on the play. My opponent usually plays lands. I feel like this one lander, not going to get the job done. Yeah, this is definitely better. I can just bottom one Orcish Bowmasters. Here's Tamiyo. Hopefully this is good enough. Opponent has Once Upon a Time to start out, so start off with Caracas. My goodness. Really good. I'll start off with Ponder. I like seeing the lands. I'll Wasteland. Pithing Needle. Probably naming the back half of Tamiyo. That's fine. That's not really my game plan here. I'm trying to get to a Kaito. Nomads and Core. Alright. So I have to decide if I want Murktide. If I don't want Murktide, I could go Tamiyo. I kind of want to go for the Bowmasters, though. And then a Tamiyo could be like a pitch card, or I could just be worrying about it later. I will play Tamiyo because that gives me the most options. Bowmaster really isn't that good, so it's possible I could put that back with a future Brainstorm. And I probably will be getting rid of Murktide. All right, well, my opponent is pretty close to a Merit Lage. The Loam is not the worst for me. Does make me want to for sure get a Swamp. Though, actually, if I had done Flooded Strand instead, I could have Surveilled and still got the basic. All right. Wasteland is good, but I definitely need to take this turn to get Kaito down. And actually, because the Yavimaya, I don't have to fetch this right now. So I won't. All right, and then I'll just 0 here. Don't want Bowmasters, but definitely do want Borrower. All right. Well, I can force the play. Also, if they're just going to let me drop the Wasteland in there, that'll be really good. Now they can't combo. But they were also incentivized to wait because the Kaito could have minused. So I do think that was a good play on their part. My opponent says, feels like my naming of Pithing Needle was bad. Yeah. So I'll 0 first. In case I want both cards, I can get them both in my hand. Flipping Tamiyo seems good. So I'll put Murktide on top first, and then I'll put the Tamiyo, or the Brainstorm in. I will play Tamiyo, and then I can Brainstorm in response to a Caracas. Okay, Wasteland. Well, that's good for them. That means that they get to make the first move here. So I'm going to tap like this to get that Murktide. And so now what I think is likely to happen is I'm going to go to combat, and then in combat they're going to Wasteland my Wasteland. And then I'll Wasteland one of these, probably Yavimaya. And then the Brazen Borrower will blow them out. Attacking with both is definitely a sign of confidence on my end. So let's see what they do about it. Wasteland Yavimaya. Make a Merit Lage. Yavimaya gets Wastelanded. I get a clue. Petty Theft this guy out of here. Oh, that was sick. Yeah, these cards are good. And then I can just flip the Tamiyo using the Ponder. Shuffle. All right. This feels like a pretty commanding position. All right, got there. All right, lands. I think I want Surgicals. I don't think Feed the Cycle is very good. I want the Barrowgoyfs. Those will handle some Urza Saga constructs pretty well. I probably want Null Rod. Definitely want the extra Borrower and the Forces, and maybe Consigns. I think I can chill out on the Feed the Cycle. And maybe one Fatal Push. I don't want Orcish Bowmasters. I don't want Dazes. And 3 Force of Will seems fine. I think I'd actually rather have a Fatal Push than 3 Forces. All right, try it. Yeah, I feel like a hand with decent mana is pretty much all you can ask for. Thoughtseize is not great. Yeah, that's good. And Maze of It, sure. Suppose they could have like a crop rotation. I'll just start with the Thoughtseize. Ooh, Malevolent Rumble is definitely a card I'm glad to hit. And they can have the flutes. All right, if given the opportunity here, I'm not even going to pass priority back to them. I'm just going to cast Tamiyo. Yes, they can get the backside. I think this is a fine time to Thoughtseize again. Yep, and so now they do have good information here, but I didn't want them to name the front half. I just want to crack clues. And if this can get a crop rotation or something like that, okay, they actually name Wasteland. Okay, so I'll take the other one then, and they can keep the Mox Diamond. That's a little surprising. I think if it was me, I would have named Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar when drawing off the top. Soul Guide Lantern, sure. Should probably just crack it and redraw. Well, naming Wasteland doesn't look like the worst. And there's no way next turn I'm going to be able to get rid of a loam, like with Force of Negation. So I think I'm going to crack the clue. And then, ooh, a Brainstorm. Good enough reason there to play a fetch land. I think that was an amazing Brainstorm. I just have a terrible hand right now. All right, they got a Rumble. Okay, that's pretty good. And they keep Thespian Stage. Mox Diamond. pitching the Thespian stage, pitching Yavimaya. Okay. I'm very glad they didn't keep the Tamiyo, or keep the Pithing Needle for Tamiyo. I definitely want to get rid of these cards, so... But actually, there's so many cards I want to get rid of, and I still have a fetch land, so I do think I can Undercity Sewers here. Borrower is great. I can play a Wasteland, Petty Theft this, and then Wasteland if they do happen to get a Dark Depths. And I get to make a clue. Cast Brainstorm. Really good. I can just put back some lands. And if they top deck Dark Depths, if they top deck Loam, I don't need to Wasteland it because I have Petty Theft. So for one turn, in order to get rid of some bad cards, I think I can afford to shuffle and play the Barrowgoyf. I will get Basic Island. And they copy Maze of Ith, which is good. Once Upon a Time for a Saga. That's good. So now I think I do have to make that play. I don't know, maybe I don't have to worry about tokens that much. Another land. I think I will Petty Theft the Flute. Now, if I Petty Theft the Flute, it does mean that they get to put it back in on Tamiyo, which is not great. I think I'm going to start off this turn by cracking a clue. Another land. Plus Tamiyo. Like, I can get to the Tamiyo ultimate before these creatures can do anything to me. I'll play Wasteland. And the Barrowgoyf can't attack. They may have another Needle, but maybe that's what I Petty Theft. Force of Will, also a good pickup. And I'll play another Wasteland. I like the idea of being able to do it twice after Petty Thefting. But let's see what happens here. Lava Spur Boots would be really good if they have it. They could also just get an Expedition map. Okay, they got Boots. And another Saga. Equipping. So if their last card is... I think I'm going to let this happen. And then when they attack with both of these, let's see what happens if I Petty Theft this guy. If their last card is Crop Rotation, that'll be interesting. Okay, GG's. Gotta win. Well, that feels good. I know lands is a pretty tricky matchup, though I think I've been doing pretty well against it with the Dimir deck. Yeah, well, good to get a win on the board. I'm on the draw. My opponent, I'm pretty sure, plays like Storm decks, so the double Thoughtseize looks pretty good. Let's see. My opponent has the really nice Onslaught Polluted Deltas. And Duress, yeah, looks pretty stormy. I could be dead right now. If I'm not dead right now, I'm going to feel pretty good. Okay, they took one Thoughtseize. And the Thoughtseize bug of duressing a Thoughtseize. Or the duress bug when you duress a Thoughtseize. Okay. Phoenix. Well, very obvious. Buried Alive. So this is not a super common deck. Basically what they're going to do is ritual out this Buried Alive, put Arclight Phoenix into their graveyard, and then they've cast enough spells that the at the beginning of combat mode fires off, and then they get 3 Arclight Phoenixes. So definitely going to take that. They're hurting for mana, though. So next turn I'm going to get to Thoughtseize them again. Well, they can duress me. But, okay, they got their land. And interesting what to take here. Okay, they took the Thoughtseize. That's pretty nice because my hand isn't very good. Alright, I like that. Put back Fatal Push. Delta. I think I have to let them possibly top deck let them possibly top deck Buried Alive. Now they can, actually I don't think they can on board get the Phoenix out. I was thinking they could, but they would need a Dark Ritual. Okay, they put Dark Ritual in their graveyard, so kind of an interesting decision, because if they played that, they could get the Phoenix, which could block my Tamiyo. So next turn, I'm pretty happy to have that feed the cycle. Yeah, so they end up making that same play anyway. Yep. All right, foraging is about to come in clutch. Blue card, amazing. So, cast with forage, exile, I guess the lands, because those I can replace, and a Thoughtseize. So this will keep the maximum number of card types in my yard. And this feels like the game is wrapped up. If they have Buried Alive, I have the Force. Get a Surveil here. A land means I can flip Tamiyo next turn. Interesting decision, but I'm going to get rid of Bowmaster. Okay. Ooh, that's also an interesting decision. I'm going to start off by cracking a clue. You know, I'm just going to wasteland them off with their red mana. And I'll do it now. You could wait till upkeep, but as a Storm player for them, trying to accrue a little bit of Storm, I don't want to give them the opportunity. So I can now flip Tamiyo. And I actually think it makes sense to play the Wasteland first in case I get like a Murktide, because I might rather have a Murktide than a flipped Tamiyo. No such luck. I'll just go ahead and use my mana here and crack this clue. And I've already made my land drop, so looking good. Well, we continue to play the game. And since we continue to play the game, actually, I should ponder first. If I ponder into a Thoughtseize, I could plus Tamiyo. Nethergoyf is an actual clock on board, but I think that's a shuffle. I'll just Thoughtseize them. Yeah, and they scoop it up to that. All right. I don't know a lot about what my opponent is doing, except that I want Graveyard Hate. Cage. I don't know if I want Hydroblast. And I don't think Consign is good enough against the triggers, because each one of those is a separate trigger for Arclight Phoenix. Definitely like Force of Negation. I don't think I like Borrower. And I might want to try to get these Barrowgoyfs in here. I'll see. Fatal Push seems pretty bad. Despite Feed the Cycle being really important that game, I don't think that's really that good, so I would like to get a Barrowgoyf in instead. Murktide can gum up the works against some 3/2s. I'll take out the basic Swamp for one more Barrowgoyf. All right. I'm not going to mull it, but it's a risky hand, especially with my opponent keeping 7. They're going to discard me, take Ponder probably. Would love a black mana source. Okay, no such luck. So I need to Ponder. That'll do. Surgical in hand in case they're ready to go off next turn. Really would like to see a ritual here. Infernal Tutor. Yeah. For LED. Okay. Good to know. I think I will invest in Tamiyo. Hope that Surgical gets the job done. And then next turn, that Brainstorm will be really good. So they have multiple LEDs. All right. Looks like they're passing. But they spent a long time thinking, so it makes me think that they're probably going to try to storm off pretty hard. Really want to get a black source here off this Brainstorm. Force of Will would also be okay, but I'm glad I had the patience. Sweet. Super rewarded. I don't think I need another Tamiyo. I don't think it's going to be a Kaito game, because with Tamiyo flipping, it's going to be quite a while before that turns into anything. Plus Tamiyo, Thoughtseize. Hopefully they don't have Veil of Summer. All right. Interesting. Okay. So I could take the LED and Surgical it. Then they would be pretty far away from being able to get that Pier. I think their next turn, if I take Lion's Eye Diamond, is most likely going to be ritual, like attempt to ritual twice into Peer, but they won't have the mana. Peer is a sorcery, right? Yes. If they Burning Wish for like a Thoughtseize or something like that, that's fine. If I take the rituals, though, they could Burning Wish for Echo, which I can't have. So I think it's Lion's Eye Diamond. And then I think the plan is to surgical it in draw step, admittedly letting them build a little bit of storm. Okay, going for another basic. Surgical extraction on Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, they drew a duress. That's not the worst. All right, LEDs are gone. Here's that duress. My hand is pretty duress proof, especially given that I can get a card back with Tamiyo. And they took the Thoughtseize. They're just a little short, I think, on mana to Peer. But I have to do what I can to strip them of that. So I think I want to start off with Ponder. Force of Negation is good. I will crack the Clue to draw Force of Negation. And then I'll minus target Thoughtseize and take the Peer. I guess take the Burning Wish, because they're far away from Peer. And if they burn all these rituals, I'll just blow it out. So I'll take the Burning Wish. Now, if they can go like Thoughtseize into Peer this turn, might be in trouble. Ooh, Dark Ritual. All right, well, I'm about to stuff this pretty hard. Yep. Yep. Nope. And I expect a concession right here. Yep, good games. Yeah, I definitely drew pretty well, especially game one. Right, I'm on the play for match 4. Yeah, really solid hand. I'll keep. Island Ponder turn 1. My opponent is mulling, so Daze seems pretty good. And Ponder, I'd just like to see like Tamiyo, Wasteland, stuff to do, basically. Yeah, that's fine. See what my opponent is up to. That will definitely dictate quite a bit what I end up doing next turn. Really hoping I can get Underground Sea with Flooded Strand. And not have to worry about Wasteland. I mean, I can't get a basic swamp with it, but... Okay, no play. Interesting decision here about Thoughtseize versus Bowmaster, but I think playing around Daze is the clincher here. And I'm not too big on drawing that Murktide. Ooh. Well, I'm so very glad that I did choose this line. Yeah, gotta take show and tell. It's gonna be a tricky one here. If that stock up finds what they're looking for, it's gonna be rough. Yep. Yeah, I have to allow this. Next turn getting to Wasteland the City will be really good. Then hopefully they have to cantrip and then the Bowmasters can do their work. And I doubt with the Lotus Petal in hand, I doubt they've kept another land. My guess is they would go for like Force of Will plus, well, we could find out. Yeah, let's find out. That seems better. All right. And the Ancient Tomb as well. My goodness. My goodness. I guess it's Atraxa then. And now I just have to hope to clock them before they, Yep. I actually think I'm supposed to daze Sneak Attack. Yeah, let's daze this. And I'll float blue and put the basic back. So the reason why I'm dazing this is they might not have more red mana available to them. And so now they will need both red mana and both red mana and the creature. And they have one unknown card. Now they do have Show and Tell. I think I have to drop a Bowmaster this turn rather than Thoughtseize them. But next turn I probably will Thoughtseize. Okay, love that they're passing. And the land was a really good draw. Do a pre-combat here. I should have played the land first in case they brainstorm here. All right. Just take the Show and Tell. Or it's just brainstorm, because they could brainstorm and find... Man, that is a tough call. I'll take Show and Tell because they've demonstrated reluctance to cast Brainstorm, and the Brainstorm would have to find multiple things. With Show and Tell, they just have to find one thing. So I will hold up this Bowmaster so as not to give them a window. All right, so doing it on end step. I feel like I could have done a better job of this, but let's see. I think they should have waited until their main phase. So if they don't have in those 3 cards the red source and the monster, should be game over. Because next turn after I hit them for 6 here, I have a lethal attack. They could also have found another cantrip, but I don't think this was the correct timing for them. We do appear to be playing the game now. And unfortunately, if they did, let's say, have red source and Emrakul, I have exactly 6 permanents, and well, I would be dead to the 15 damage anyway, but all right. Well, they get there. What monster are you putting in? Okay, casting Ponder. That's still scary. And they shuffled. And sweet. Ooh, that one was a scary ending. I stand by my decision to take the Show and Tell, but they definitely found enough off that Brainstorm. If I had taken the Brainstorm, though, they would have been given a lot more draw steps. So, really interesting decision. All right. Hydroblast for sure. Force of Negation for sure. Fatal Push, definitely want to get rid of that. Feed the Cycle, not amazing. I think I'll bring in 1 Brazen Borrower. That could be a blue card for Force of Will. All right. My opponent's mulling. I can keep this for sure. It's pretty remarkable to me that I believe Sneak Attack was, or Sneak and Show was the most represented deck in the top 32 in Eternal Weekend in Luca. All right, they are holding up Flusterstorm. But I think this deck is too risky of a deck to not Thoughtseize turn 1. If they Brainstorm, I might even daze it. Okay. The stock ups are really good. They get to play them around days. Maybe I take the Pedal, and then I daze the first stock up, and then maybe get to daze the second stock up. Kind of going for the blowout line here. Okay. The exact play I figured they would make, and daze it. Did you draw a daze or a force? Nope. Or at least chose not to spend it in that way. All right. I think Tamiyo is a better bet than Nethergoyf. Now if they play around days by playing a land, they lose City of Traders. Okay. Looks like another dazeable stock up. Now it's a little scary though, because I don't know what they could have. So I don't think I can play Nethergoyf. And if I'm not going to play Nethergoyf, I do wonder if Brainstorming just makes sense. That guarantees a Thoughtseize next turn. Oh, or I could just misclick. Oh my god. Yeah, that's how it's been going for me lately. Jeez. Alright, my opponent has no play, but my goodness. What a horrible misclick last time. So I stand by my decision to Brainstorm here. Okay. Just put back Nethergoyf and I guess Kaito. So now I'm guaranteed a buyback of a card next turn. I'm again holding up days. Really hoping this is just stock up. Oh, so bad. Yeah, I'll just put in Bowmaster. Well, that could have been much, much worse. So these are the cards they're revealing. They can Petty Theft, Atraxa. I really hope they go for the Fury this turn. Omniscience, Brainstorm, Scalding Tarn, Fury. Alright, I think I have to just try to Petty Theft this, picking up Days. So now I can double Days. And I think there's a slim chance they're a Magus of the Moon deck, so I will get the basic. Force of Will, pitching Omniscience, one unknown card left. I'll daze this, they pay, and then I daze again. Now they can, if they have another red card, they can Fury and clean up my entire board, which would stink. But if they don't, oh my god, they do have another Force of Will. Force Pitch Brainstorm. I think this game is over. Yeah. Man, that misclick. I think that was the difference in that game. So anyway, you have to play really tight if you want to win games, and like physically clicking through things correctly is part of that. All right, I'll be on the play. Yeah, keep. They're also keeping 7. All right, scared of show and tell. So they were hoping to kind of cheese a quick one. I like the Force. Now I don't even really have to cast Ponder. So I'll just play Nethergoyf and pass. My opponent has 1 unknown card, so that means they can't put a protected show and tell on the stack next turn, unless they pitch Atraxa. And they bin Force of Will. Interesting. Seems like the sort of card I might want. Okay, Ponder. And they didn't shuffle. I would love to see a Daze. I do get to Surveil. Another Nethergoyf, not too good. And a basic Swamp. So I'll fetch a basic island here and then go to combat. Now I am as protected as I can be against Magus of the Moon. And I'll 0. I think that's not good enough. I don't think wastelanding them is going to be good. Okay, I didn't know about Scalding Tarn. So if one of their unknown cards... Okay, casting Ponder. I guess that makes sense to play out the land I didn't know about, because they knew the top card of their library. I think it's worthwhile to get the Tamiyo out next turn and flip it, because then I can get that Thoughtseize back as soon as possible. But I'll start by going to combat and then zeroing. Don't think I really want Orcish Bowmasters at this phase of the game. Petty Theft, that's okay. Cast Ponder. Would love to see Thoughtseize. Alright, there's a Thoughtseize. So I have Thoughtseize plus Force of Will. And I don't think I want the Brainstorm. I don't know, maybe I do. I'll give myself the option by playing out Flooded Strand. And then this Thoughtseize should clear the way. Okay. So they still just have nothing. Next turn, they could Fury into a Daze, and I could force that. They could kill one of my Planeswalkers. Just take Ponder. Alright, they didn't shuffle, though. So maybe there's still a good card here. Okay, they play Island. Probably playing Petal as well, yep. I probably do have to Force a Will to Fury. I mean, I can just pick a Force back up. Okay, so they're holding up Hardcast Force a Will. I will draw that Brainstorm. And then I'll 0 Graveyard. I'm just going to get back a Thoughtseize. Playing against combo decks and being able to buy back Thoughtseize is so busted. I'll play the basic Swamp. Yeah. I guess I just take the sneak attack. I'm kind of surprised they didn't jam sneak attack last turn. I mean, it wouldn't have worked. So maybe they was smart to do it, but it feels like they're playing a losing game here. And just play Nethergoyf, and I have double force for their 2-spell hand, one of which is uncastable. And they're not dead next turn just yet, but approaching. I can flash in Brazen Borrower, though, for lethal. So I will force pitch Brainstorm. Hopefully I still have Fetchable in my deck. I have been milling a lot of cards. Yep, plenty. And just flash in the Borrower. Should be lethal. 7, and then Kaito. Yeah, good games. Yeah, the Thoughtseize deck into the all-in combo deck feels pretty good. Right, on the play for match number 5. Hand looks keepable. I hope I'm playing against something fair. I think my mana is good enough that I can begin with a fetch for a dual land and then get down the Goyf. All right, opponent playing something possibly similar. Starting with Ponder, sure. And I didn't shuffle. Wasteland is cool. I think I'm going to play a little conservatively, hold up Bowmaster, and just get in for 1. I'll attempt this Bowmaster in response to the Thoughtseize. My hand's pretty bad. Okay, they have the daze, so I'll be basically hellbent here. But that's fine. And they had a Ponder to spend that mana. Well, this game's not looking great. Another Wasteland. I'll Surveil. I'd love to see a Kaito. I think Kaito is how I get back into it. No, I don't want another land. So this Goyf, despite 6 cards in the graveyard, is just a 2/3. Okay, Ponder. I'll cast it pre-combat. They could have a Bowmaster. Yeah, that's good. Maybe I can just get them dead. I'll play out the Wasteland, as that will possibly prevent them from surveilling. Well, they are surveilling, so I'm definitely going to hit that with the Wasteland. Ooh, a stock up. So this could be show and tell. So this time I'm going to go pre-combat, or sorry, go to combat first, because I already have sorcery in the yard. Now the real question is, I know I have Force of Will up next turn, but there might not be a next turn, so I think casting Ponder is worth it. That's not great, but maybe it's good enough. I'll play out the other Wasteland. If they have to brainstorm or something and to, you know, get over the top, maybe I'll be all right. If they don't have, oh my god. So I'm guessing this is show and tell. If they had the stock up, and I guess they just got kind of greedy on the lands. They might not have any more basics, and so, but then they should have just not cracked this. So like, I'm guessing their 7 cards has show and tell and a monster, and they just weren't able to fire it off. Wow. Well, the purpose of playing Dimir Tempo or Delver decks is on some level to punish greed. I am a little concerned about what I should be doing here, though. If this is the like Tempo Wasteland show and tell deck that's become a bit popular lately. I think the answer is take out Fatal Pushes, bring in Goyfs, take out Feed the Cycle, and just be the most hard-hitting deck that I can be. So if they have like a Tamiyo or something, I can go toe-to-toe with that. I can use Thoughtseize and Forces to handle their unfair stuff. I probably won't need Basic Swamp, but I don't know. I very well might. So I'll probably just have 2 Barrowgoyfs. Actually, I like 3 Barrowgoyfs, but I don't need 2 Borrowers. If it is show and tell, a Borrower is not amazing. Yeah. Hope I don't get Wastelanded. Keep. Tamiyo. Yeah, that's good. That's the thing I said I was going to try to be able to beat. I don't think you fetch a dual land without having another land. So I'm going to Thoughtseize. Wow, they didn't have another land. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll take their Brainstorm. And my most important card now is something that they can't Thoughtseize. Ah, immediately drew the Tomb. Well, I can daze this. They're still playing pretty greedily here. And then I just wasteland Tomb. Hopefully they don't get to crack any clues for quite some time if I do this. And then I can flip my Tamiyo, take it from there. Of course, they do have the Thoughtseizes, so that's likely to be how they spend their mana. Yep. Happy to trade 1 for 1 when my opponent is struggling for mana. They should probably take my Tamiyo. Maybe the Force. But they can Thoughtseize away the Force at a later time. I would love to wasteland them again, actually. I sense no land from the opponent. Yep. Like days. So I would settle for a land of any variety here. Yeah, that'll do. And hopefully I don't have to daze anything this turn. I don't know, I should probably daze the Thoughtseize. But I don't have to. Ponder, okay. Yeah, I'll let him ponder, sure. They could ponder into the land and then Thoughtseize me. They shuffle. Alright, I'll play my land and I will pass. Yes, they know about Bowmaster. So I'll flash this in now. Ping them. And then I think I'm just going to daze this. So now if and when they do, wow, not even swinging with Tamu. Yeah, it makes sense. They're flooded with clues and nothing to spend it on. So I'll get my 1 point of damage in. Magic Online is being really laggy for me, so that's what I'm blaming that misclick in the previous round on. Cast Brainstorm, really want to see a land. No land, but good cards nonetheless. And I will Thoughtseize them. Yeah, looks about right. I'll take 1 show and tell because I have Force of Will for the other one. Alright, they have mana. So I'll be very happy for them to start cracking the clues, sort of. I'm not going to say that's an amazing predicament for me, but with double Force, I think it's just fine. And I think they have to. I think they have to crack the clues into the Bowmaster. Interesting. I would do it right now to try to hit a land drop. Like, you're going to have to do it. If at any point I get Barrowgoyf down, that'll feel great. Okay. Of course, drawing cards is good for them. It's kind of like a Yawgmoth's Bargain at this point, which is a banned magic card. Okay. Shuffled. Or that was ages ago. They declined to shuffle. Presumably that means they found another land. Sure. And show and tell, stock up. Yeah, I think I have to allow stock up. All right, another Force is great. I will let them trade the Tamiyo for the 3/3 if they're up for that. Yeah, that Tamiyo did her job. So they're dead to my attack next turn if they tap Ancient Tomb. They have 7 cards. I have double Force of Will. They have 4 unknown cards. If that's... All right. Yeah. My hand's pretty good against Thoughtseize. All right. Got there. So, yeah, I think this deck feels really sweet. You can see that actually as I was playing this week, Tomjab, who I took this list from, is now atop the trophy leaderboard, and I did check between my rounds, and it is the exact same list. So this list feels super duper strong against the current meta. My only loss was in the first round to that, I forget if it was Mardu, but that, tokens, Ocelot Pride deck, and that was really hard fought. I will say, like, this is the sort of deck where you're going to have to put an incredible amount of mental effort into every decision that you make, because getting over the finish line is so important while respecting what your opponent is doing. And there's all these little things that come into play with that, and I sense that more and more, the more I play with it. But it's a super fun deck. I'm definitely going to keep going with this list. Feed the Cycle is a pretty nice card. It's just good to have more removal because such important creatures hit the board all the time. That has really good art too. I love that like skeleton or fossil that's integrated into the tree. I think that's really cool. And it's by a classic Magic artist, Donato Giancola. So gotta love that. I liked the 4 Thoughtseize. I played against a lot of combo this league. So, the way to build this deck, there's a lot of, I would say, debate or lack of consistency in lists where, you have 4 Tamiyo, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Goyfs. Those are the cards that, like, you can't really have 12 of those cards, or at least I don't see that very often. And so you have to pick and choose, which one of those you're going to cut. And I do like the 4 Tamiyo. As you know, if you've watched my channel a lot, I love Tamiyo. It probably is a card that could or should be banned in the future. So I like being on 4 of it. And the nice thing about Nethergoyf in a 4 Tamiyo list is that Nethergoyf can either pivot to playing defense and defend the Tamiyo to help get it to an ultimate, or it can push damage and the opponent has to decide whether they need to block the Nethergoyf or attack the Tamiyo, and their life total can come into play. So I really like the interplay of those 2 cards. It feels good to break the slump. Yeah, a couple 1/4s in a row just feels absolutely terrible. I usually don't play leagues that far out, but I guess I've had some extra patience to play. And I guess I was rewarded here by breaking out of the slump with a nice 4-1. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.